Hey everyone, this is Travis with Teen Quest. You can check us out online at teenquest.org, and we're also on Facebook and Twitter. I'm here today with Tyler Watson. He's with the East 40 Church of Christ in Norwich, Ohio. Tyler, thanks for being with us today.
All right, thanks for having me.
Yeah. For the people out there that might not be familiar with you or your church, could you just take a minute or two? Tell us about your ministry and your role there at the church.
Yeah, for sure. We are East 40 Church of Christ, as you said, and we're just outside of Zanesville, Ohio. A church of about 250, and it's I've been the youth minister here for going on my 6th year. Started here right out of college, and very loving church, very good church, but a very diverse group of people as well, from ranging in all age groups.
Okay. Well, the one thing that I really wanted to try to focus on today, because I think that it's something that a lot of people are going to be able to relate to that are in ministry or in youth ministry in particular. Recently, your church has gone through a transition that really many churches and many youth pastors end up dealing with at some point in their ministry. In fact, I was talking with a guy, I don't know, maybe 7 or 10 days ago, a youth pastor friend from Bowie, Maryland, who's in the same exact situation, and that is that your head pastor has left the church. And since this is something that a lot of churches find themselves going through, a lot of youth pastors find themselves going through, I'd like you to just take a couple moments here to tell me about that situation.
Yeah, for sure. Well, we've been dealing with this the past 3 or 4 months. Our senior minister, it wasn't by any means. This wasn't a bad leave. He was heading off to a place where he was a youth minister prior.
Okay.
But it's been a learning experience, to say the least. You're used to one thing, and then you come in one day and everything's going to be changed for quite a while. But things have definitely been, like I said, it's been a learning experience. At the time you look at a situation like this and you say, how in the world are we going to get through it? And then as you can look back now over the past few months, and actually we have a guy getting ready to start here in 2 weeks. You kind of look back a little bit and you say, man, God has taught us so much in these past few months that it's you can't see that at the beginning.
Yeah, absolutely. So for instance, what kind of new responsibilities have you found yourself having to take on during this transition, and how are you personally finding yourself capable of balancing all of that?
Well, the obvious one is more preaching on Sunday mornings. Most of the times, and before this started, I wasn't someone who would go out and I'd preach maybe 3 times a year.
Mm-hmm.
I'd spend a lot of my time doing the junior church and teaching Sunday school, on Sunday mornings, and then on the Sunday nights, that's when I dealt with my youth, with my junior high, senior high. The obvious answer is that I've been preaching a lot more.
Sure.
Which I've actually started to. Never thought I'd say, but you start to enjoy it once you get become more comfortable up there. But on top of that, the things you don't think of, the hospital visits, the bad thing, not the bad thing, but the hard thing was within a month after our minister had left, we had like 3 deaths, bang, bang.
Wow.
And so when you're not comfortable or not used to going and sitting with families, hospitals or making those calls, that's tough. That was probably the hardest thing that I've dealt with in these past few months. But it's been a juggling act. They always tell you, and they told me when I started this here, they said, our goal for you is to work yourself out of a job. We want you to find people to, fill in the roles, and that's a hard thing to do. But when you get stuck in a situation, like we're in, you really have to force yourself to find other people to help as much as possible. And so that's the biggest thing that I found myself having to do. If not, I mean, life's crazy as it is, but things would be extremely crazy if not.
Yeah, yeah. So obviously, you found yourself being involved a lot more with different. I mean, I assume your main role there as the youth pastor is being with the teens, and now you've found yourself thrown into a role where you're dealing with a lot of age groups maybe that you wouldn't otherwise.
Oh yeah, for sure, and that's the hard thing, because you want to stay with the teens because that's what you're comfortable with, but you understand that there are other people who look at you and say, hey, you're the only minister here, and almost feel left out. But I will say this, man, the cool thing is, in for lack of better terms, the older people in the church, my relationship with them has grown so much more, and you really enjoy it. You really enjoy getting to spend the time with them, and so that's been a blessing in disguise as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So you mentioned, you're taking on all these extra things, and you've got yourself trying to balance time with the teens and time with the rest of the congregation, and I'm sure that it can kind of get exhausting when you're in ministry and you're only doing one job at a time anyways. If you were just being the youth pastor or just being the senior pastor, that in and of itself is a pretty exhausting thing. But now that you're taking on all these extra responsibilities, how are you making sure that you can fight fatigue and push through that extra workload?
One of the things that we've done is I didn't do this in the past few years, but I've taken a couple Sundays off. And when you're used to being at one church for so long, then you go to another, you go and visit a friend or something. We went down, my wife and son and I went down and visited some friends in Kentucky, just to be able to go and get up on Sunday morning and go to church with them and have no responsibilities whatsoever. You want to believe how refreshing that is.
Sure.
And, how cool it feels to be able to walk into a church building 5 minutes before the sermon starts and not be the last one out. It's very refreshing. So we've definitely, my wife and I, we've taken the opportunity to do that a couple 3 times since this has happened, and it's been very good.
So it's really important just to take that time away, and maybe ministry's the kind of job where it's easy to become a yes man, sort of. I mean, you want to help, you want to serve. That's why you're in ministry. But it's also really important from time to time, not in a mean way, but from time to time to be willing to say no or not right now, just for your own self, to recharge your batteries, so that in turn you're able to minister to those people better anyways when it's all said and done.
I agree.
So what's the biggest thing you found yourself? I'm sure this has been a big learning experience. What's the biggest thing you're taking away from this? Maybe that you'd want to share with somebody who just got the news. Maybe they just got the news this week. Hey, the pastor's retiring, so here you go. Here's all this stuff. What would you want to say to them that you've taken away from this?
I would encourage anybody, to I guess to hang on. It is very, very overwhelming at the beginning, and it's overwhelming a lot of the time. But when you can start to see how God works down the road, and you can kind of look back and say, and God used me in this way, or God used the church in this way, or brought these people into my life. Man, it's a very amazing thing. And I would definitely encourage anybody. You got to find that time to just get away and to relax. I left right after we got the news. I had a week of camp that I had to work, and I remember that week of camp, everyone kept coming up to me, and I work at the same camp every year. Kept saying, "Man, something just doesn't seem right with you. You're not being yourself." And you have to just kind of let that go and understand that, and put it in God's hands, and understand that He's going to take care of it. Even though at that time, man, it doesn't seem like it, and things are very, very stressful.
Sure. So definitely teaches you more dependence on Him when it all comes down to it, I guess.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Just like other trials in our lives. Well, I really appreciate you you being with us and talking with us today. Like I said, just from my conversations with youth pastors, I know that a lot of people are going through that where they don't have a pastor, and sometimes it's a quick thing and a new guy comes in, and sometimes it can be a really long journey. So I appreciate you talking with us, because I think it's going to be an encouragement to a lot of people out there in youth ministry. But I wanted to just take a minute for people that might be interested in checking out your ministry, your youth group, your church. How can they find you online? Do you have a website? Do you have a Twitter or Facebook account? Just throw that out there for us.
We do have a website. It's East 40 Church of Christ. Oh wait, East 40 at east40churchofchrist.org. I know that's a lot of 40s in there, but it's East 40 spelled out, and then the website or the address is with the 40 in it. So East 40 at east40churchofchrist.org.
Okay.
And then I myself, I have my personal Facebook. You just find me by search of Tyler Watson, and then
Sure.
Twitter. I've not ventured into that world yet.
Okay.
I've scraped the tip of the iceberg, but I don't do anything other than have my own name on there, and that's about it.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Well, thanks again. I really appreciate us having you out here today, and appreciate everything that you're doing, reaching kids for Christ out there in Ohio.
Hey, well, thank you.